Okay, so A, are we being asked to solve for a side or an angle? Okay, so that since we're solving for an angle, that tells me I'm using the inverse button. Okay, go ahead and label your three sides: hypotenuse, opposite, adjacent. Okay, Mason, where's my hypotenuse? Okay. Jessica, where's my opposite? Sarah, where's my adjacent? Okay. What? You're not writing anything down. Okay, then what do we do next? What thought process do we use to pick which function? Okay, so this is blank, so cannot use hypotenuse. So what are we left with? Okay, so then you're going to take tan of your unknown angle equals your fraction. What do you mean? You can. Since we're now mixing sides and angles, I don't want you to get, be careful with like confusing yourself, with which button to use and whatnot. Okay, so what should my fraction be? Okay. Okay, so if you feel confident and know what to do next, and you know what to plug in the calculator, that's fine. But just know that, now we're mixing what we're solving for. So just be careful, okay? So technically, we would take the inverse tan of both sides. So then your tangents cancel each other out. So x equals, and then you can plug that in your calculator. Okay, anyone have x yet? I hear 21.9 and 21.8. Okay, so it should be 21.8. Okay, what if I asked you to find the third angle? This other missing spot. What tool could you use without having to use trig to find that third missing angle? No, just eventually. Okay, this whole school year, we have talked about what do the three angles add up to? And then subtract that from 180. Okay, 360 is four sides, four-sided shapes. 180 is three-sided shapes. Okay, B. So on example B, we solving for a side or angle. Okay, so we're not going to be doing this. This is angle work. So our side is what we did last class, where we multiplied both sides by the denominator, did all that. Okay, why are we not? We are not. And why is that? Okay. Okay. Okay, so to figure out which one I use, we'll get what side is blank and eliminate those two functions that use the adjacent side. So we're going to use cosine? Are you sure? Cosine uses adjacent, so we can't use cosine.
It's cos.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Has to be sine. Sine does not use their blank spot. We're using opposite and hypotenuse in our problem, so has to be sine.
So you don't use x. Wait.
No, we use x because we can't solve for x if it's not in our equation.
Well, I said cosine because it didn't have the
But this is blank, so there's nothing there.
So we're using the blank spot on the x.
Okay, yes.
You don't even have to.
Not your packet, no. Okay, so we have sine of 40 is equal to x over 17. Guys, when I say blank side, I mean there's literally nothing written there. If there's a variable, you want that side. When I say blank, like it is, there's nothing there at all. If you have an x on that, that is something you have. It's just unknown at the moment. Okay, first step when I'm solving for sides, what do? Multiplying both sides by whatever is on the bottom. For this one, it would be 17. Okay, why do we do that? How does that help us? Yeah, so those cancel out. So then x equals, type that in your calculator. Okay, round to the nearest tenth. Okay, what questions do you guys have about that? Okay, why don't we try out the next two problems ourselves? Okay, and we will do the last two together, but please try out C and D. On C, you should be using cosine.
What about D?
D is also cosine. Okay, adjacent has to go on top, which is 11. Hypotenuse has to go on the bottom, which is x. I saw that was another common mistake, was you guys flipped your fraction. Okay, so on this one, there's one additional step because x is not by itself yet. We're not ready for the calculator. So to undo this multiplication, use the opposite, which is division. And you're dividing both sides by cosine of 21. Okay, so it should be about 11.8. This is it, this page. Okay, so on the second one, on D, you should also be using cosine. Okay, you have adjacent and hypotenuse, but this time you're solving for an unknown angle. So you're doing it like we did A. So take cosine of your unknown angle and write your fraction. Okay, and I don't think a lot of you guys are still writing out all the steps, which is fine as long as you indicate somewhere that you use the inverse button. So you're going to use inverse cosine of 26 over 41. Type that in your calculator and get your answer. 26 over 41. Okay. Wow. I just said wow. This is a really good circle. Okay, so let's go ahead and do E. Okay, so even though it doesn't say it, I'm going to add a little bit to this problem to prepare you better. So go ahead and add an X and a Y to those two angle spots. And we are going to solve for C. So we are solving for 3 things. The cool thing, though, is that we actually only need trig for 1 out of 3 of these items. Sine, cosine, and tangent is trig. Okay, so let's start with side C. What tool in our toolbox do we have to find a third missing side when we already have 2? We spent half a day on this. What theorem can we use? Pythagorean theorem. So 3 squared plus 2 squared equals c squared. So we don't even need trig to solve for that side. We could use trig, but we also have this tool that we could use. Okay, so 9 plus 4 equals c squared. Okay, 9 plus 4. Got 13. Okay, and what's my last step with Pythagorean theorem? Okay, square root both sides. Now, square root of 13. Can we simplify that? Nope, it's prime, so that's done. We're just going to leave it like that. Okay. Just leave it like that. It's less work. Why would you want to do more work? Okay, so just leave it as a square root. Okay, moving on. Now we're going to find an unknown. Let's find x first, using what we just learned. Okay, so we're starting with x. Going to label my 2 sides, my 2 and my 3. So 2 would be opposite. 3 would be adjacent. C would be hypotenuse. Okay. Now, I want to use the 2 and the 3 since I'm confident I know those 2 sides. Like, that was my given. Just in case I messed up my 3rd side, I'm not going to use that, so I don't have another wrong answer. So, what trig function uses opposite and adjacent? Okay, so we're going to do tan of x equals opposite over adjacent. Okay? Yep, this is inverse because we're finding an angle. So then you can kind of skip, all those extra steps and type in tan inverse of 2 over 3 to get your answer. Okay, thank you. That took you quite a while to figure that out.
I'm trying to wait for like a minute.
Okay, so now you have options to find your 3rd angle. You can either use trig or just subtract from 180. What would you prefer? Oh, wow. It is easy if you remember that. So, total of a triangle is 180. Subtract out your 90. Subtract out your 33.7. How is subtraction hard? I don't. Oh my god. That's just because you're lazy.
It equals 56.3.
Crazy. Okay, so we got all that information and only had to use trig 1 time.
Are we gonna have homework this summer?
No. Okay, please put a star on F. Your last question on your test is just like this one. You have 1 side and 2 angles. It's all over there. All your answers are over there. Okay. All right, so let's start with H. So I'm going to use the 25 degrees. H is opposite. G is adjacent. 13 is hypotenuse.